frontline workers and the inclusion of comprehensive group life cover for all civil servants, including the National Youth Service. The Cabinet also approved the establishment of a credit guarantee scheme with an initial seed capital of 10 billion shillings to enhance access to credit by micro, small and medium enterprises during the COVID-19 pandemic. KTN senior political reporter Patrick Amimo takes a look at the outcome of President Kenyatta's first cabinet meeting after recess.
After a two-week cabinet working recess that ended on 28 August 2020, President Uhuru Kenyatta chaired the first cabinet meeting at State House, Nairobi. Members were required to be physically present. The meeting was held amidst concerns about widening rifts in the cabinet. A section of cabinet secretaries have of late involved themselves in politics and kicked political storm.
Mwambie Murkomen mumfikishe awe na adabu na mheshimu rais wa Kenya hii, na hata huyo mkubwa wake ni karani wa rais. Si ni karani wa rais? The deputy president is a clerk.
Tuwe wapole, tuache vishindo vya kiburi na makali ya matusi.
The president and his deputy were expected to have taken advantage of the physical meeting to call their troops to order and ensure they read from the same script in delivering the government agenda. The cabinet saluted healthcare workers for their commitment to duty during the coronavirus pandemic. Consequently, the cabinet approved the comprehensive insurance cover for all frontline workers to cushion them against COVID-19. All civil servants and members of the National Youth Service will also benefit from comprehensive group life cover. The cabinet also approved an inter-agency program to prevent and respond to gender-based violence during the new coronavirus pandemic. According to a dispatch from the Presidential Service Communication Unit, the cabinet noted that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there had been a marked rise in undesirable social challenges, amongst them domestic violence, gender-based violence, and violations of the rights of children. The cabinet thus approved the establishment of toll-free hotlines and various online and mobile applications that will enable anonymous reporting of all incidents of gender-based violence and abuse of children's rights. The cabinet also approved the establishment of a credit guarantee scheme with an initial seed capital of 10 billion shillings to be capitalized in two tranches of 5 billion shillings each in the current and next financial year. The interventions are aimed at enhancing access to credit by micro, small and medium enterprises during the COVID-19 pandemic. The government hopes to boost funding for the scheme to at least 100 billion shillings through contributions from donors and other commercial financial institutions. The credit guarantee scheme is expected to be operationalized by mid-October 2020. Meanwhile, the Nairobi Metropolitan Service Director General, Major General Mohammed Abdallah Badi, will now be attending cabinet meetings after taking an oath of secrecy. The Director General shall henceforth attend all meetings of Cabinet and its committees and participate in the conduct of Cabinet business pursuant to Executive Order No. 3 of 2020, issued by President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House, Nairobi, Thursday during the Cabinet meeting. Patrick Amimo.
Let's now speak live to lawyer Duncan Okatch on the same as he gives more context into what this means now for the country. Duncan, many thanks for your time. President Uhuru Kenyatta's decision to co-opt NMS Director General Mohammed Badi into the cabinet has elicited varied reactions among leaders and Kenyans as well. Some have termed the move as unconstitutional and an assault on the supreme law. What are your thoughts?
Thank you so much, Michelle, for having me. Indeed, everything in terms of the constitution of government is based on the constitution. My view as a lawyer is that Article 132 is very clear in terms of the right of the president to actually organize his government and in terms of the architectural design, except the three arms of government. To that extent, he can establish any office in the public service with the approval of the Public Service Commission. The president has thus elevated this particular NMS Director General to be sitting in the cabinet meetings and even the subcommittees.
Right.
At no point has there been any communication that the president has elevated the NMS director to be a cabinet secretary, because that will be illegal. It has to go to parliament for approval, and that process is clear. There are only 4 people who can sit in, who can constitute the cabinet as per Article 152.
Right.
The president, his deputy, the cabinet secretaries, and the attorney general.
Let's talk about what this means now for the state of Nairobi County. Where does this leave Nairobi County, considering there have been supremacy battles between Nairobi County Mike Mbuvi Sonko and NMS DG Mohammed Badi?
Indeed, Michelle, this has a semblance of the trust and the faith and the commitment that the president wants or has in NMS and its Director General. It spells a lot in terms of the vision that the president has for NMS and its place in the country's governance structure. To that extent, you find that Badi himself will be sitting in the cabinet sessions. When he, as a military person, his bosses have not sat and will not be sitting in such. It tells you that indeed even governors, other governors, have not had this particular kind of preserved right or position. To that extent, it actually tells you in a wide view that based on the sort of peace that the president has tried to bring between the Nairobi governor, Mike Sonko, and the NMS director, the way forward as far as the president is concerned is NMS. By sitting in any cabinet meeting, it means that the concerns of Nairobians, the issues that are facing Nairobians will be at the heart of the top decision-making organ in the country. So that is a plus for Nairobians. It is a plus for anyone who takes pride in the capital city. My worry is that it may make other cities also envious and will want to go that direction, especially if Nairobi will be getting the top layer of this particular delicacy.
All right, and finally, Duncan, I mean, there have been questions surrounding the legality of the Nairobi Metropolitan Services to begin with, concerns that it is an amorphous body, not anchored as a state corporation. Does this move now move to cement the legality of NMS?
Indeed, the position as indicated is that the president, by virtue of the constitution, has the mandate, power, and prerogative to establish any office under the public service with the approval of the Public Service Commission. That is clear in the constitution. To that extent, the issue of the legality can only be to the extent of the transfer of powers from the Nairobi county government. And that is something that has been in court. The court rendered itself. The court gave 90 days for that to be rectified, and I believe that is being rectified. So the issue of legality or not should not be a question at this particular point because it has been determined, and the issues of how to rectify that is on board. To that extent, even the court, by virtue of its pronouncement, has indicated that this is the way to go in terms of NMS. NMS is here to stay. Otherwise, the court will not have suspended its judgment to this particular extent.
All right, that is Duncan Okach. He is a lawyer discussing the decision by President Uhuru Kenyatta there to co-opt NMS Director General Mohammed Badi into the cabinet. All right, so let's take a look now at sports news.